Oh, good morning and welcome to the Daily Freakout. Happy 420. I just realized looking at the date that it is 420. I will not be celebrating this year, unfortunately, just because finances are a thing that are going to prevent me from doing that. I actually, funnily enough, as a staunch or someone who much prefers 420 to St. Patrick's Day, if you know what I mean. Oh, sorry guys, we're doing it again. Oh, we've got the hum back. Oh, I love it. I am so happy. As someone who celebrates or prefers to celebrate 420 over St. Patrick's Day, there's nothing wrong with St. Patrick's Day, but that's what I prefer. Oh, what did I touch that caused this to happen? Oh, it's a complete schmozzle straight from the get-go. As someone who prefers to celebrate 420 to St. Patrick's Day, I will actually be celebrating St. Patrick's Day today, if that makes any sense, because I'm just not in the place to celebrate 420, unfortunately. It's very disappointing, because that's what I much prefer. And there's a weird noise going on, and it's all fantastic. So I've done a bunch of rearranging and reworking and stuff like that, and I've got the mixer involved now, and I've got a different mic and stuff. I realized that the ribbon mic was causing a lot of the hum and all that kind of stuff due to the grounding and what have you. And I thought that everything was sort of sorted and everything was okay. But it appears that is not the case. Oh, look at that. The slightest little touch, and it just goes absolutely crazy. And now I can hear the garbage truck out the back. This is why this is the most professional podcast on the YouTube. And why no one listens. Actually, we got some big numbers for an episode the other week. We got a whole total of 14 people. It was pretty exciting. Let's check the subscriber count, though. Dun, 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 dun. The subscriber count has not improved anything. It was still at 42. So if you're out there and you want more people to listen to this show, you should. It's both good and bad being able to see the numbers like that, and because you can see that somebody was watching the show and they just skipped ahead to this bit, skipped ahead to this bit, skipped ahead, and I'm like, oh, that's fair. I do that. But from my perspective, it's like, well, why aren't you watching the whole show? Am I that boring? Am I that thing? And it's like, yes, because I spend the first couple of minutes talking about technical issues, and I'm an hour late roughly from when I wanted to be doing the show. I wanted to do the show at 7 o'clock, and I got up at way too early, at like 4 or something, and then thought, I'll go back to bed. Went back to bed, and now we're doing the show at 8 o'clock. So, congratulations to me. Congratulations to me for being that incompetent and absolutely wonderful. So, let's start off with a news article. I'm sure you're paying attention at home and you've seen, that's the wrong camera. And you've seen stuff like this. No, there we go. Sean Hannity attempted takedown of the Pope backfires in hellish way. Now, I would prefer not to talk about American politics too much because it's just so frustrating and annoying because they are taking over our world at the moment. It is just painful and annoying to have to talk about and have American politics constantly in the main section of the news, because unfortunately what goes on over there and what Don is doing affects the entire world, and it's very frustrating. And I also don't really want to talk about the Pope because I don't agree with the Pope's position in that I don't care for religion of any kind, of any denomination, and I don't think the Pope has any power or should have any power because he is just a cult leader, because Catholicism is just a cult. We can go into the details of that. Let me know in the comments if you think that's true or not. But this is a really interesting situation where a TV news host is going against what he claims to be his guy. Like, so he believes that he's a Catholic, but the minute the Catholic Church says, hey, maybe the Pope or maybe Donald Trump shouldn't blow people up or start wars. And as far as I'm aware, the Pope hasn't actually told Donald or said Donald that it's Donald that he's talking about. He's just said in general, we shouldn't be doing this, or maybe world leaders shouldn't do this. But yet Donald's taken that personal. It's like that whole thing of how do you find a Nazi? Say that Nazis are terrible or something, and then one of them will pop up. So I can't remember what the thing is. You'll have to go check someone that actually is awake and knows what they're doing. So Fox News' Sean Hannity jumped to Donald Trump's defense, as he often does on Thursday, siding with the president in his feud with Pope Leo XIII, drawing a fierce backlash online. This is the other crazy thing, and this is part of the reason why Catholicism is a cult. And MAGA is also a cult, in that the minute their leader might say something wrong, and people still back them. And so Sean Hannity has shown that his leader is Donald Trump. And then other people have been, well, the Catholic Church is my leader, so I'm choosing them in this fight. Whereas someone like myself sits here and just goes, no, they're all wrong. They're all bad. We don't like any of them. And the reason why I wanted to talk about this, because as I said, I don't want to talk about American politics too much, but the reason was, where do you draw that line as to having loyalty to a supposed leader? I have had many people throughout my life who I've classed as not necessarily a leader, but as an influence, a strong influence in the style of a leader. For instance, whether it's artists or even some men's self-help type people. It gets to you take influence from people who are preaching certain things, and you go, okay, I like this, I like that, blah 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 blah, and then at some point they don't do something you like, and you go, well, oh, okay, I don't like you anymore, or I don't want to listen to you anymore, and you have to sort of pick and choose and stuff. And part of me is like, well, we shouldn't have any of those. We should never have a leader or a person in our life or people in our lives who we cannot call out for being wrong or saying or doing things that we don't agree with. And that's where it comes with this, where people are obviously showing that they prefer, or that they won't question Trump, or they won't question the Pope. And I would obviously always question the Pope because, as I said before, I believe that the Catholic Church is just a cult like any, and they the fact that the Catholic Church are one of the biggest pedophile rings that's ever existed, and the fact that the organization still exists is incredibly worrying. And then you have someone like Donald Trump, who is also one of the biggest pedophiles we've ever known, and yet he's still functioning and going, and they're fighting, and people are choosing a side of which one's worse or which one's better, choosing the lesser of two evils almost. And it's not right, in my opinion. It is not right that you choose one or the other. You should choose neither, because you should say, well, first off, religion doesn't exist, or God doesn't exist, so religion is pointless and stupid. And then Donald Trump should be quite literally doing what he's told, because he is meant to be an employee of the people. But he's taken off this president role as being, I can do whatever I want. And he's been allowed to do that. And so he's like, well, I can do whatever I want because I've been allowed to do it. And so neither of these two should be the choice. And yet people who are TV news hosts say, we want to We're going to pick sides. We're going to choose who to pick. How do you choose? I don't know. How do you choose your leader and what you're going to do and what you think is right in this kind of situation? It's very very strange situation, in my opinion, that a TV news host is getting in between, or the fact that this fight is happening, or this argument and disagreements is happening in the first place, is kind of crazy. I do like the fact that Hannity was quoted as saying, I think I'm uniquely qualified. I studied Latin, theology, went to Catholic Church for 12 years. I'd love to interview the Pope. I assume Hannity is older than, let's say, 30. So he's only gone for 12 years. So not all his life or anything. So when did he choose to be a Catholic? Anyway. Because remember, religion is a choice. It's not something you're born with. Anyway, let's talk about music. I think the record player might not be as hummy as everything else is hummy today. But today's album that we're going to be listening to, and the camera has moved a bit, so let me just adjust it. There we go. Today's album we're going to listen to a little bit is The Muppets Silly Songs. This is an album that Oh, we've got back to the hum. Fantastic. I love it. I don't know what's... And now it's gone. Love it. This is an album I got on cassette back in the day. I absolutely love this album. I can still sing a number of the songs off the top of my head. We've got songs like Upbeat, Lydia the Tattooed Lady, which was originally a Marx Brothers song, Pakalafaka, I'm My Own Grandpa, which is one of my favourite songs, the Rhyming Song, which is just brilliant, Borneo, Memory Lane, absolutely fantastic. I purchased this album, this one right here, off eBay, and I paid a pretty penny for it. I can't remember how much, but I remember it being a little bit above what I should have paid for it, because I was like, oh my god, I haven't listened to that album in ages. It's been on my... as I said, I had it as a cassette when I was a very young child, and I at least played it so hard that I probably damaged the cassette. No idea what happened to it. If I remember correctly, my mum hated it by the end of it because I played it so much, and I didn't have headphones at the time. I had a little mini boombox that had speakers, so everyone had to hear it. And I realised when I got this was actually produced in 1984, which means this album is only 1 year younger than I am. So this is a 41-year album, which I think is just fantastic. And I got it, and it was still wrapped in plastic. It was still hadn't been played, and unfortunately, for financial reasons, I was like, no, I'm going to listen to it because I want to listen to it. So let's see if we can listen to it. It's going to start with the Muppet Show theme, of course. Hopefully. Here we go. There it is. Oh.
Hey, Kermit?
Yeah?
You want to listen to this?
Oh, what's that, Scooter?
Well, I made a collection of all my favorite silly songs off The Muppet Show.
Oh, yeah? Well, what kind of songs are these?
Well, the first one here is a song that we did that's kind of like a Bavarian
Oh
setting.
my
Fozzie
God.
was an innkeeper and there were a bunch of dogs. It's called You Buy D.
Anyway.
Oh, Lydia, that encyclopedia. Oh, Lydia, the queen of tattoo. On her back is the Battle of Waterloo.
That's the Muppet Silly Songs, because I'm not going to play anymore because that hum is just so goddamn annoying. And it is the turntable. Please tell me if you've in the comments if you know how I can fix that without buying anything new. I've found online a thing that I can buy so that I can buy purchase something to put in the middle of the mix of the cables and everything and fix it. So it's not that far away from happening. But at the moment, oh my God, it's just doing my head in. So if you're watching and you've made it this far, thank you for thank you for putting up with the absolute insanity that is the Daily Freakout and the painful hum. Hopefully in the future, when this show continues on and gets so big, I can make jokes about it. But right now, it's not going to happen. So let's move on. Moving on. This is a thread that somebody posted. Insty Paulie. Thank you, Insty Paulie, for posting this. If the VicGov is extending free public transport for another month, it should model the impact patronage, if it isn't already doing so, and run the numbers on how much it costs to keep public transport free for patrons versus the cost of fare infrastructure and ticket inspectors. Because if it's cheaper to run public transport without Mikey contracts and enforcement officers, serious thought should go into whether we run public transport free for everyone and fund it through general revenue. So what I assume he's trying to say is a charge levied through council rates, like how the VicGov takes slice for pet rego, blah, blah, blah. So what he's trying to say is socialism. I believe that's socialism. Again, comment in the comments, is that socialism? I think that's socialism. He's trying to say we should look at the fact that the cost of running the system is so much that the revenue generated isn't enough, etc., etc. And that maybe running it for free is the way to go. Partly, I feel like to a certain degree, public transport, there should be a cost to a degree, because it's a service and stuff like that. Like, it's a thing. Like, it's not just something that sits there. And for instance, roads are a thing that the government pays for using tax money. But you also have car registration and fuel excises and taxes and things like that then go to funding the roads. And so using public transport, a cost involved in running, there is a cost involved in running it and keeping it updated. Plus then there is a cost in and then to pay for that cost, it's partly paid for by the people that use it. But I like the fact, or the idea, that as it's a public service, it's a public thing, it is free for everyone to use. And I think I've talked myself out of being pro this idea just by talking about it right now. Because part of me is like, well, taxpayers pay for the roads. So taxpayers pay for the roads, but car registration licenses and things like that, the cost comes from that. Part of the fees for that come back to pay for the roads. So public transport's there, it's a thing. People using it would then pay just to help use it. So taxes involved in tickets, whatever. I'm not sure where I stand now, to be honest. I think that's socialism that he's talking about there, Insty Paulie. But I don't know if I necessarily agree that it should be free. Even though I use public transport, and if it was free, it would be better for me. Maybe it should just be cheaper, like in Queensland, where it's 50 cents. Sorry, I just noticed something. I just want to really quickly try. Worst show ever. Upadi, upada. I can still sing this song, this album, word for word. It's still hummy. Should public transport be free? That's the question that this is that's been asked here, because the suggestion is that the cost involved is just not enough, and that the certain things that have to be done in order to make it happen aren't worth it, etc., etc. I don't know. Is it a good world that we live in that has free public transport? I think that would be a good thing. I like the idea that more people could use public transport. I think public transport should be much more of a thing. It should be a bigger thing. For instance, I live in an area with pretty average public transport. And the amount of people that can ride one bus as opposed to the amount of cars. Car travel is too. We do cars too much. We rely on cars too much. We base our lives around cars way too much. Public transport, and in my case, cycling. I love riding a bike. Imagine how much healthier we'd all be if we all cycled more. If we could cycle more. The infrastructure needs to be there. And maybe free public transport where you can ride to the train, ride to the bus, and then use public transport would be a way to go. Unfortunately, you can't take a bike on the train or on the bus, I should say. On the train you can, on the bus you can't. There's no infrastructure for it. And it's a weird world we live in where you have to have so much stuff in order to live, i.e. you have to have a car for some people. I know when I got my license, my mum was very focused on you have to have a car because what are you going to do without a car? And it's like, yeah, why is the world that way? Wouldn't it be good if we didn't have a car? Or didn't have to have a car? If you have a car, it's fine. Anyway, the worst episode ever of the Bobby Freakout Hour. Happy 420, everybody. I hope if you celebrate, you celebrate. My eyes look like I'm celebrating 420, don't they? But trust me, I'm not. I wish I was, but I'm not. I really wish I was celebrating 420. But alas, I am not. I am only celebrating St. Patrick's Day today. Thank you so much for tuning in. Please comment, like, subscribe. Well, don't like and subscribe this episode. It was terrible. But comment in the comments what you think could be better, could be worse. Should public transport be free? Should the Pope and the President just both shut up and get on with what they were doing and stop worrying about stuff? Should all the old men that create wars and kill us stop it and leave us alone? Etc., etc. Thank you so much for watching. If you've made it this far, you probably haven't. And I will see you in the morrow, hopefully tomorrow at a much earlier hour and much more organized, prepared, and ready to go.